Hi, everybody. Let's talk about this character. Danny Iamascia, or Iamascia, is how it's pronounced, apparently. Iamascia. 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 He was based over in the Bronx. He was a thug, basically. He worked for both Ciro Terranova, a pretty bad guy, and Dutch Schultz. He was primarily Dutch Schultz's bodyguard. Although he was only 29 when he died, his record was huge. He had 100 charges, everything from robbery to rape to attempted murder. He rarely went to jail. I'm sure there is an instance, if I look for it, when he did go to jail, but I don't know. He was arrested for, when he was a boy in 1918, he was arrested for assault and battery over in the Queens. The witness disappeared, so that didn't go anywhere. He was apprehended on a rape charge in the Bronx in 1919. Just a year later, again, released. The witness didn't show up. Police caught him on a burglary in the Bronx later that year, 1919, but again, he was released. He was convicted in the Bronx of unlawful entry, which was burglary in 1920, but the prison sentence was suspended. So this guy's got the fix in with his pals. Two burglary cases, 1920 and 24, and a robbery charge, 1922. Never went to trial. It's amazing. Iamascia was among several known criminals in attendance at the December 7th, 1929 banquet thrown for Magistrate Albert Vitale at the Roman Gardens in the Bronx. This thing was really something. Huge get together in the Bronx. They had enormous, I think I have a photo of it, enormous long tables, and the judge is seated in the middle. And there's every bad guy in New York City is there. So the banquet was held up, as remarkable as that is, by seven gunmen. And all the loot they took, including policemen's guns and badges, was returned. Uh, because the gangsters get on the phone and said, "Return it or we'll kill you." But it made the news, and it provided a direct connection between organized crime and the courts. State sponsors investigation. Uh, New York City government was investigated. It was really a stink. Vitale, the judge, he was booted off of the bench as well. He should have been. And Mayor Jimmy Walker, an interesting guy, Jimmy Walker, but he was eventually forced to resign for this and just basically a lot of other stuff. He may not have been the best mayor in New York. He was certainly probably the best looking mayor, and most charismatic mayor New York ever had, but not good at what he did. Anyway, during all this craziness, these arrests and shootings and blah, 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 Isaiah lived with his mother and father at 2313 Belmont Avenue over in the Bronx when Joe the Baker Katina was. I'll do one on Joe the Baker. It's going to be a short one, but there was a lot of guys, by the way, at this point in New York known as the Baker. A lot of them actually owned bakeries, but and some of them actually were. In this guy's case, Katina, he really was a baker. Anyway, he got shot to death in the Bronx. Again, we haven't left the Bronx much on this. On February 3, 1931, he was close friends with Iamascia and another guy, Danny DiStefano. They were both picked up by the police as material witnesses. They didn't say anything. It didn't go anywhere. It was part of the Castellammerese War, and it remained unsolved. How he got involved with that, I don't know. Anyway, he worked for Dutch Schultz as his bodyguard during Schultz's war with Vince Mad Dog Cole. Mad Dog Cole had been part of the Schultz mob. He broke off. He wanted to go on his own. A lot of bad things happened. On June 18th, 1931, so it was a shooting war. It was pretty bad. Isaacson and Schultz kept an apartment on Fifth Avenue and 102nd Street. And they're leaving the apartment. They see two tough-looking guys waiting in the dark in the corners. So they assume that these guys got to be working for Vincent Cole. Without warning to the two guys, Schultz and Iamascia turned together as one. They pulled out their pistols. They got one pistol in each hand, and they start shooting at these guys, who were actually New York City police detectives who returned fire. They arrested Schultz. They killed Iamascia immediately, right on the spot. Boom, he went down. Anyway, as you can guess, he was given a hero's funeral. It was really spectacular. It was 125 cars of mourners, 35 cars of flowers. Can you imagine that? And a procession. It was a silver coffin valued then. This was what, 1931, I think, at 20 grand. So you can imagine what it would cost. Silver coffin. This enormous floral display was provided by Dutch Schultz. It was a large wreath of lilies. And then Terranova, not to be outdone, he sent a 15-foot floral of lilies and roses and carnations. So Iamascia, it was all in the news. 20,000 people, they say, turned out for the funeral. Bear in mind when you hear these things, 20,000 people. Well, of course, it's a gangster funeral. It's in New York, crowded place. That was why. It was a big deal in the Bronx. He didn't know 20,000 people. They're just gawkers. He was temporarily interned in this private mausoleum by the infamous undertaker at the time, Daniel Socozzo. I knew somebody by the name. And while Danny's $25,000 mausoleum was erected, he never ended up in this $25,000 mausoleum. It wasn't built. He just ended up in a regular grave.